The beginning was humble. No video or high-res screenshots, no GIFs. In the 1970s, the era of Pong and Space Invaders, the only publications about games were trade journals. With the arrival of video arcades and home consoles came the first big boom in electronic games. In 1980, Time magazine estimated that Americans spent 75,000 person-years playing arcade games. Capitalizing on the boom, Electronic Games magazine was founded in the fall of '81 by Bill Kunkel, Arnie Katz, and Joyce Worley to cover, as Kunkel put it, any kind of game that plugged into a wall or ran on batteries. Other publications quickly followed. Like the computer games of the time, these magazines were small operations. Articles were opinionated, reviewers had personalities, the games were kind of ugly. In 1985, the Nintendo Entertainment System ignited another boom. More games, more mags. Leading magazines sold in the hundreds of thousands with a decade of solid growth. Trade show costs and marketing expenses soared. Publishers took magazine staffers on expensive press junkets, sending reporters over the Everglades in combat helicopters or across Egypt on camelback. And then there was that thing with the goat, remember? They decapitated a goat. On the road, it was exotic. At home, it was like college never ended. Sure, the gig didn't pay well, but writers were having a wild time. Some writers were producing bizarre, exciting work. By the mid-90s, a band of web upstarts, including IGN and GameSpot, strolled into town. The work was rougher and lacked the visual panache, but it was free, addictively updated, and available instantly to anyone with an internet connection, so long as mom didn't pick up the phone. The Goliaths inspired a nimble counterpart, the game blog, sites like Kotaku, Joystick, and Destructoid. Once again, a newcomer had the advantage of speed. Within an hour, a reader saw multiple posts. Within a week, they had a magazine's worth of content. This speed occasionally resulted in misreporting, and pretty visuals took a backseat to getting the post live first. But they were persistent, news-minded, and at least at first, outside the system. The rising tide began to threaten traditional publications. The survivors retreated to the high ground of co-marketed partnerships with console makers and game retailers. But even these publications were at risk. Which brings us to today, a time of shift. Fast blogs creating more original material, gargantuan networks that are breaking news, magazines testing their hands online and in apps, everyone learning from each other. Games writing is stronger than ever, and games are covered in almost every conceivable way. There's no shortage when it comes to information about games. Major gaming sites get tens of millions of hits a month. Gaming grows every year. More gamers, more success, more influence. The stakes have never been higher, and there have never been more gifts.
I understand that there's times I have to leave Huntington. I get it. There are events that I have to go to, but I like it better here. I know where everything is. I know where, like, the good restaurants are and stuff.
We went to the Consumer Electronics Show when I was 13, and people were handing out, it was like this special controller where it was a disc instead of a D-pad. And I was like, they're just giving these away. And I get home and I open it up and it was a cookie shaped like the controller. Hey, there's our farmer's market there. That's banging.
Honestly, the thing I hear most often from total strangers when they ask what I do is they think that I tell them, or I told them that I write video games. I mean, I think when I was a kid, just like a lot of people, the idea of making games seemed amazing. The idea of writing about games just never seemed like a possibility.
Video games are so hard to make. They take years, some of them 10 years, 12 years to make a single product. And then that thing goes out and people either love it or hate it. People either buy it or don't, and you either get a chance to do it again or not.
And then 1UP sort of radically changed directions and focused on people you got to know, whose opinions you understood. That was sort of the thing that clicked with me that made me want to do what I do.
There's something about interactivity that when it's harnessed properly, the way it invests you in a story, the power that has is incredible.
Every paper I went to, I asked them about covering games, and every time they said no. Though it was interesting because over the years, people in a very short period of time went from thinking that video games were something that kids played to suddenly video games are something that everybody does. It was like somebody opened the door to an underwater submarine. I am terrible at analogies.
After college, I was unemployed for a couple months, and then I started working with my girlfriend's dad, who was a contractor. I found that I liked doing it, I was good at it, and I did it for about 5 years, which was a lot longer than I had planned on doing it for. It's good to have hobbies where you can get away from what you do every day, and I think a lot of people use video games to do that. I can't do that anymore, which is unfortunate. Kind of flipped, right? I went from doing carpentry as a job with video games as a hobby to the other way around. So now this is my hobby, and video games are my job. I could give you the whole spiel. I could answer questions specifically if that would be more helpful.
I think you just give us a spiel.
You know, the thing we like to say is that we make, like, video games are visual. They're beautiful. Magazines do a good job of showing that.
Yeah.
The web doesn't. It never really has.
Sounds like you guys want to be a hub for everything, right? To me, it seems like a lot of the websites have like a clear focus. Or I go to Kotaku for my news because I just want the news quick. I want the headlines, and boom, I go to Kotaku.
There are very few.
Game spots sometimes, but now they do a lot more video stuff. I'm like, I think that's interesting.
It's never a good time to launch anything. That's why anyone who does launch is a media site is sort of, you know, certifiable.
I met with Jim Bankoff early last year, so 2011, and I'm not much of a sports ball guy, so I didn't know what SB Nation was. I didn't know if it was any good, and to be honest, I said no, thank you. And later that year, I thought I should really talk to them again. Jim didn't even have an office, still doesn't have an office, so we just found a room that was quiet. I basically gave him a pitch, had a PowerPoint and everything. I mean, like an adult.
Hey, Chris, Jim Bankoff calling. I wanted to thank you again for coming, and I spoke with our board, and it looks like all systems are go. So if you want to call me, please feel free, or email or IM, or send carrier pigeon anytime. All right, take care, man. Bye.
We had a standard. It was called the web. It stood pretty much unchallenged and grew like mad for about 15 years. And the growth of mobile devices has sort of shattered that complacency, and I would say it's complacency.
For us, it doesn't matter if you're looking at this on a Windows phone. It doesn't matter if you're looking at it on a BlackBerry. It doesn't matter if you're looking at it on an iPhone, a tablet. You can see it kind of rebuilding itself. And now we've got a tablet page. If we pull it down even further, now we've got a mobile page. So that's one of the benefits of having new technology and starting fresh, is that we can look at a 10-year road and see what the web is going to be like in 10 years, and we can kind of plan for it. Our belief is that there's an audience that's smarter, more sophisticated, more mature, that cares about video games. And they want high-quality stuff that they can trust, and we can be a one-stop shop. So, yeah, I think that's it. Ta-da! Polygon.com. It's changing. Industry's changing. Websites should change with it.
Yeah.
We're still workshopping a lot of what that means, so we'll save it for another meeting.
We've got 44 days left until we want to be code complete. That's kind of what I want this week to be, is just something that we can all just get a lot of shit done, because we need to get a lot of shit done. Is everyone excited for this week? Yeah. Yeah? Okay, let's do this.